I think there's this group of people around the world who are typically labeled as misfits or black sheep, or those who don't fit in. And I think that this group of people takes on that label when they're younger, in particular. That becomes a piece of their identity. I'm speaking generally, of course, and I certainly resonate with this idea through my own experience. But it's this idea that we're supposed to be a certain way. It's sort of like, if we're good at this in society, then we can move on to the next thing. If we're good at this, then good things are going to happen. And if somehow we're not good at this, and we're not good at this, and we're not good at this, then not the best things happen. And the pressure of this is enormous. And so for someone like me who really never thought conventionally and couldn't really fit into sort of mainstream society ideas and values, it would be fine if that felt okay for me. But the pressure was enormous to try to fit in there, to try to be that. So I'm over here busy in this experiment in my life to try to fit in here and to be this and to be essentially fitting in somewhere where I'm not fitting in, which means I'm not being authentically myself. One of the biggest challenges with this is not only am I not authentically myself, I'm trying to be this thing that I'm not, believing that if I can't succeed over here, then I'm going to fail, or I'm going to be a failure, or I'll be perceived that way. And for a lot of the time, and a lot of my life, I perceived myself that way. Until I realize that this is just a very, very small way to be thinking. Not that the people there are small in their thinking, that my thinking has been limited to imagining that I have to fit into this world that I don't fit into. And what I forgot about or didn't realize was the entire rest of the universe of possibility. The challenge is that breaking out of this feels isolating. I might not fit in. I might not be a part of. But the price that you pay to try to fit in and be a part of something that isn't authentic to you is too great a price for anybody to pay. And I believe that this is where repression comes from, suppression, a lack of expression, and ultimately depression comes from this. Until we realize, if we're fortunate, we get turned onto like a whole spiritual approach to life, for example. I remember in the early days, like people presenting spiritual ideas to me and me looking at them and being like, no thank you, thanks but no thanks. I'm over here working this out. I need this to work, and that seems utterly irrelevant to all my efforts in this life. I have to make this work. And then suffering, not being me, not being authentic, trying to fit in somewhere I don't fit in. Low self-esteem, but inside, having a sense that there's something more to life than what I'm seeing. There's something more than what I've been shown. And so through suffering and pain, starting to be humbled, starting to open up to other possibilities, starting to get turned on to new ideas, and then being more open to the people who are saying, hey, there's really something worth looking at in this spiritual approach to life. And getting turned on to a new way of perceiving things, literally changing my mind, turning my mind in another direction towards something else. So counterintuitive. Because if you're trying to fit in over here, but then someone says, no, wait, look over here for a minute. Slow down. Let go of the drinking. Let go of the cannabis. Stop changing the way you feel because you feel so out of place in the world. Instead, turn your gaze toward the world where you are always in the right place. Right here. And somebody who we'll call a teacher, whether that comes in human form or scripture or a book, turns your gaze inside. And you start to develop that relationship with yourself. Before, you were throwing yourself out the window trying to be a part of something that wasn't you. And now you're being asked to slow down, sit down, calm down, and look within. And this has been the greatest story of my life, of developing a meditative practice and a yoga practice to help me to find myself, to find my place in the world, to turn my gaze inside, to solve the most important riddle of my life. Who am I? How can I engage in the world in a meaningful way? How can I use my gifts to find and to live every second a purpose-filled life? How can I be in love? How can I focus my mind on the positive, despite all the challenges and difficulty of the world? So the most remarkable thing took place for me. I became a drug addict. Remarkable. Best thing that ever happened to me. I mean that. Best thing that ever happened to me. Because it was through that I could reach a bottom, be humbled, in some cases humiliated, open my heart, open my mind to new ideas, step onto a path, a spiritual path, and begin to really heal my life. Without having experienced addiction and being laid low, I wouldn't have been able to do that.